Hello, I'm Linda. I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'm making a card using Vellum. This is for the Cardz for Galz card challenge, and I'm a design team member for this challenge. So if you go to the link below, you can click on that and you can go and see what it's all about. You can enter. And I'm going to start by doing some stamping. I'm using Tropical Chic. I'm going to be using the leaves and the flower. I've started with my flower and I've positioned it into my stamp apparatus, and I've got my magnets in the wrong place there. I'm using Blushing Bride, but I want to do a bit of stamping off, so I'm going to ink up my flower, stamp onto a bit of scrap paper, lift that up and then stamp on to my paper, and it gives a much lighter image. And then I've got one of these little sponge daubers and some Melon Mambo ink. I'm just going to put my little sponge dauber in to my ink, and you can't see what I'm doing now. I'm just going to go around the edge of my flower. Then push it back down, and then we get a little bit of colour. So I'm going to do that a few times, and I'm also stamping some in Coastal Cabana. So Coastal Cabana and Blueberry Bushel. So I'm using the Blueberry Bushel just on my little sponge dauber, going around the edges. So I'm going to do a couple of those as well. So I have my flowers there. I'm just going to use my die that coordinates with this stamp set to cut those out. And before I do that, I have some more paper. So this is going to be the card base. I'm doing, I think this is 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I have a Whisper White that's going to go on top, and it's just a tiny bit smaller. And then I have my Vellum, which is going to go on top of that, and I've cut out one of the stitched nesting dies, which is going to go on top of that. So we're going to do some stamping onto our Whisper White piece, and I've got the leaves. So I've positioned my leaves. I'm using mint macaron. So when you've stamped, we're going to clean our stamps, but we don't want to move them. So they're going to stay where they are. And then I have some shaded spruce, and I'm going to be using the thick brush end, and I'm just going to put some shadows onto my leaf. And then you can see you get this lovely effect where you're using the two greens. So, and then I'm just going to clean my stamps and keep going all over. So I finished my stamping of my leaves, and I'm really pleased with them. They look lovely. And I've got my Blushing Bride layer here. I'm going to just stick that onto the middle there. My Vellum is going to go on the top, and actually I might just cut it down a little bit more, and then I decided that Whisper White was going to work better on the middle there. And I've also cut out a couple of palm leaves from mint macaron, and there's my little flowers that we stamped earlier, and they've now been die cut. So I'm just going to actually cut this down a tiny bit more. I've cut my Vellum piece down to 4 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. I just wanted some of the brightness to peek through the edges there. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to stamp on here. I'm going to use Coastal Cabana. This happy birthday is my go-to happy birthday. I just love this one. And it comes from Seaside Notions. I'm going to have my flowers up there, so I've just put them there so I can decide where I want my sentiment to go. I'm going to stick my vellum to my card now. And we want the glue to go underneath this. So I'm going to start by sticking this on. And then I'm going to position my... No, I'm not. I'm going to stick this to my card next. So that's going to go in the middle there, and I'm going to put the glue behind this. So I'm putting it behind our sentiment, and then you will not see the glue. So don't put it too close to the edges because it might squeeze out. Now I'm going to decide where I want my leaves to go. I'm thinking here. I'm sticking them down with a couple of pieces of double-sided tape, and then I'm going to cover the tape up with my flowers, and I'm going to put these on dimensionals. So I wanted to add some sequins, so I've got these adhesive backed, I think they're basic adhesive backed sequins, and I've just added a few scattered on there. So all that's left to do is the middle, and I've cut a piece of Whisper White that's going to just fit in here, and I've die cut a couple of the leaves that I stamped on a separate piece of paper. I'm just going to stick that into the middle of the card. You could stamp another sentiment in there if you wanted to, and it's finished. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget, this is for the Cardz for Galz card challenge, so you can enter if you'd like. We'd love you to enter. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.